Hi, this is Bob from New London, Connecticut. I just wanted to bring you up to date. I was evicted on June the 21st. I had to be out of my house of 53 years by 9 a.m., which I was. It just happened to be one of the hottest days of the year, which had weather warnings for the elderly and to keep out of the heat. Well, I sat on the road in my truck waiting for the sheriff to show up. And the reason I did is the elderly woman that lived in the house, who was not evicted, was afraid when the sheriff arrived what was going to happen. So I sat there for a couple of hours, and then I could not stand the heat. I have asthma, and I am also a diabetic, and I couldn't bring my insulin out in that heat anyhow. So a couple of hours into the wait, I went under a tree, and I sat there. At 1:30, the sheriff showed up to tell me that, I had to be out and that my belongings of 53 years would be taken to a storage facility and I would have to pay the fees and everything within 15 days, or they're going to sell everything I accumulated in the last 53 years. He also I told him that the woman in the house had not been evicted. He says, well, I don't know. He said the judge could still evict her and this and that. So he was nice and he left. And then a while later, I was trying to find another comfortable spot, and as I walked by, I heard moaning and screaming coming from the house. And I found the 69-year-old woman who has an artificial knee laying on the floor in the hallway in pain. And I got her up and I took her to the emergency medical center, where she was attended to by a couple of doctors and several nurses, and they took x-rays and stuff, and she had a terrible swelling and injury to the area of her artificial knee, which was burning on fire. Also, they took x-rays and she had bad contusions of her ribs, and they think there might be a cracked rib. Well, they gave her 2 pain medications, and she went back home and has been confined to bed ever since. The reason she fell was in her panic of not knowing what was going on. She was taking some of her personal items and putting them into a small box, and she fell. She tripped and fell. So she laid there moaning for we don't know how long until I heard it. So like I said, I come in, I took her. Now she's back home, and she's been in bed ever since. She couldn't get to her surgeon because he was in surgery all that day, so we do have an appointment. And in the meantime, she's been vomiting constantly for 2 days, and she cannot give herself her insulin shots. I have done it for the last 7 years, actually, most of the time. And the only thing I'm guilty of is being the beneficiary on a will, and somehow I've become what I would call under house arrest for the last 7 years. And I read an article a while ago which claimed that the average murderer only spends about 7 years incarcerated. Well, I've been in here now for 7 years not knowing. I've been harassed by the administrator of the estate, even though I was the sole beneficiary of my mother's estate. The will was presented by an attorney who stated that. There was an objection to the will. I had to wait 6 years. In the meantime, the administrator they appointed, an attorney, Garen Kamasa, he did not contact me. He did not come to the house. He did not write me a letter. He didn't phone me and nothing. But during that time, he collected $20,000. I asked the judge, could I have an accounting of what it was? The answer is no. So I have no rights at all, and now I'm considered a criminal only for the fact that I have been a beneficiary on a will. So they took the money and they started dispersing it, but in the meantime, there was an appeal on the judge's decision. But that didn't stop them. They just spent the money out. Well, jumping ahead, my sister passed away. So what happened was my sister's ex-husband, while my sister was in the nursing home, went there with a friend of his, Shirley Pope Alloway, who was a justice of the peace, and my sister had not been able to recognize any family members for the last 3 months. So someone put an X on the marriage certificate, and he married her under her maiden name, which was not really her name at the time. And then she lived exactly 30 days. She died 3 days later. This ex-husband goes to the probate court, and this same judge appoints him administrator of her and her estate. She is now buried with her ex-husband, and we have no rights at all. We can't say a thing because the lawyer that made up a new will for my sister is a close friend of the judge, and I'm told that the judge will not stop anything this guy makes up. He just passes. It's a shame, but that's how the system works. It's the, I guess they call it the old boy club, I don't know. Well, I don't want to make this too long, but it's a shame in America. It seems to me that I don't want to offend any of the Jewish people who went through horrendous atrocities, but I think the United States of America wants their elderly dead. So why don't they just put us on our 65th birthday in front of a firing squad and then take our bodies to Auschwitz and put us in the oven? I think that would be more humane than what they do to us now. It is well known across the country. I have talked to people as far away as California whose property has been stolen, whose parents have been put under conservatorship and found incompetent even though they are fully competent. And it's not a, it's a common thing. And it's a shame. And we don't have one political person that I know of, because I have contacted in Connecticut the Attorney General, Richard Blumenthal, the head of the probate, I think his name is Paul Gernon, but I'm not sure, Kernan, Joe Courtney, Representative Joe Courtney, and the other one is his name leaves me for the minute because this isn't a pleasant thing for me to have to do. However, I have contacted all these people, and frankly, I don't know what they paid for, because every agency you call, whether it's for elderly or any kind of help, they all say, oh, we can't do nothing. So I think we could save a lot of money by eliminating a lot of these jobs that don't seem to be necessary. Well, I don't want to bore you with my troubles, but this is a disgrace to this nation. And anybody that has a mother should not allow this to go on. It is somebody has got to have the will to take action and do something about this. I thank you for listening. Goodbye. God bless you all.